Deep within the central Indian highlands, the landscape consists of dense sal forests, impenetrable bamboo thickets, and sweeping grassy plateaus known as dadars. It is a striking, highly stratified topography. It also provided the aesthetic blueprint for one of literature's most famous settings, and archetypal deep jungle visuals readers imagine come directly from Kanha National Park. In fiction, the jungle balances itself. The animals follow an ancient law, and nature handles its own affairs. But in the actual forests of central India, letting nature run its course was leading straight toward an ecological tragedy. This chart tracks the population of the hard-ground Barasingha, an endemic subspecies of deer unique to Kanha. While the park's tigers were thriving, the Barasingha population was collapsing. By 1967, their numbers hit a terrifying low of exactly 66 individuals left in the wild. Leaving the ecosystem to a mythical law of the jungle meant guaranteeing the extinction of an entire subspecies. Saving the Barasingha required highly funded, intensive human intervention. First, scientists had to diagnose the collapse. Early theories blamed brucellosis, a bacterial disease spreading from domestic livestock. But later research by biologist Claude Martin proved the real culprits were severe habitat loss from forest fires, combined with hyper-concentrated apex predation. The geography itself was creating a death trap. During the arid summer months, the only reliable water source was a single impoundment near an observation area called the Shallarhide. Desperate, thirsty deer had to gather there. The tigers knew it, and they picked them off with ease. Management stopped baiting near the hide and shifted the primary water supply to a distant location, forcing animals to spread out. The results were immediate. In 1968, tigers killed 16 Barasingha at the hide. By 1969, predation there dropped to a single kill. You don't always have to cull or relocate apex predators to protect an endangered prey species. Sometimes manipulating a basic resource like water is the most effective way to engineer survival. Surviving the tigers was only half the battle. The next biological bottleneck was extreme fawn mortality. Newborn Barasingha require 48 full hours post-birth just to achieve basic mobility. Before then, they are completely defenseless in the wild. To counter this, park authorities constructed massive 50-hectare predator-proof enclosures. Pregnant females were driven into these secure stockades during fawning season to ensure the newborns made it past those critical first 2 days. Maintaining that security required intense manual labor. Guards walked the perimeters daily, physically extracting massive pythons and chasing away jackals to keep the newborns safe. As the population stabilized, the deer needed more grazing space. That triggered a massive habitat restoration effort known as Lebensraum, which required the voluntary relocation of entire tribal villages out of the core zone to reclaim the tall grasses necessary for fawning. Creating an undisturbed, thriving wildlife sanctuary often requires the displacement of the human communities that have lived there for centuries. It is a harsh socio-economic trade-off inherent in modern conservation. Through all of this, the Bengal tiger remains the ecosystem's biological anchor and the primary predatory threat that conservationists must continually manage around. To understand the fierce territorial sociology of Kanha's tigers, you only need to look at the life of Munna, one of the most famous dominant males in Indian history. Munna was instantly recognizable because his natural forehead stripes spelled the literal word cat. Despite sustaining a severe permanent limp from an early territorial skirmish, his immense strength allowed him to violently dominate rivals and hold massive tracts of land. But his behavior in old age is what is most revealing. Recognizing his declining physical prowess, Munna actively retreated out of the core park and into the buffer zones, purposely avoiding lethal confrontations with younger males taking over his territory. Apex predators do not live in peaceful royalty. Their existence is a cycle of biologically taxing, violent territorial combat that requires immense tracts of zoned land just to contain safely. Thanks to these strict zonations and interventions, the Barasingha rescue worked. From an absolute brink of 66 individuals, the population rebounded. Today, over 1,000 stabilized deer roam Kanha's meadows. Looking at this map of central India, you can see the modern safeguard, a metapopulation. Authorities built capture bomas to safely export the deer to Satpura and Vandavgarh, ensuring a single localized disease outbreak or fire can never threaten the species again. none of this highly technical science is cheap. This is where the romantic fiction steps back in. The enduring global popularity of Kipling's work acts as a perpetual marketing engine, drawing endless streams of eco-tourists hoping to see the real Jungle Book. That influx of tourism capital flows straight into the regional economy. It employs members of the local indigenous communities displaced by the park's creation, generating millions of rupees to fund local infrastructure and cultural preservation. The poetic fantasy of the Jungle Book is what ultimately pays the bills. A century-old fiction subsidizes the rigorous, data-driven science required to keep the wild alive.